but allowing some people that are that have some kind of track record, right, would probably be a good idea. And yes, there would be a revenue share with them, basically. Not a revenue search, but a revenue share, Uh, and that's how it works. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that what we offer people is a sound risk reward, a sound investment, right? We just not want to put out there anything and that people get their hands burnt. So yeah, it would probably not be anyone building their strategy, but really people that have thought it through and that have a specific investment idea in mind into subnets. So something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Siam and Mark? I'm curious.
Yeah,
I think we should have two. We should have one for you and one for me, Siam. We play each other, and then the loser each month has to do a forfeit. I think that's clearly the win.
I like that.
I like it.
That's good. Yeah, because there's lots of like game theory optimization sort of plays you can do with detailed portfolio management. And I know, I mean, I haven't made a lot of friends along the way with some of my early thoughts on portfolio management when it comes to detail, because since February, April, when detail launched, and I still maintain this, like buying the top 10 or buying the top 25 subnets is not a good portfolio. And I've said this for months, and it's still valid. I even created a brand new wallet, and I literally bought the top 25, and then I just left it, and it halved over the space of a couple of months until I was like, right, I don't want this to bleed anymore. And the reason being is that when you have a brand new index, the rotation of assets into the top 10, top 20, etc., is very, very fast. So something may be in the top 20. And then it'll shit its pants and then be in the bottom 20. And so if you're buying a whole bunch of subnets, which are top 10, top 20, etc., the price is a lot higher. So your risk to reward ratio and risk of ruin your risk to reward ratio is a lot lower and your risk of ruin is a lot higher. So if you were to like flip that on its head and then so as a trader, I'm always looking at risk of ruin. Like, what is the percentage of your risk of ruin? And it's always that seesaw of risk of ruin versus risk of reward, or your RRR, your risk to return ratio. And when you're applying a GTO sort of lens to everything, really what you should be looking at is the low price, low liquidity subnet, good subnet owner / team with a promising product and promising potential. And I guess you could put a few other bits and bobs. But what this means is that, like, if you're looking at the dereg price right now, it's gone from 0.001 TAO to like 0.003. It's been that. So that dereg price has been going up quite steeply. Now, I don't think it will continue going that steep. Now that they've softened the dereg sort of cadence or new registration subnet price, that dereg baseline is going to sort of soften out a bit. But still, if you're buying a subnet relatively close to the dereg price, your downside is literally limited, because whatever percentage of the alpha outstanding you own, you get that back in TAO, in terms of the TAO in the pool. So, if you, let's say, were to buy a subnet right now and tomorrow it got deregged, you'll probably take a 30% haircut. But if you bought a low price subnet and you sat in it for a few months, you got that nice some yield in it, blah blah blah, and then it was a dereg, you'd take probably a 20% haircut. So the longer you hold and get that APY, sometimes you can get into a position where you put 6 months or more, it then but then you get out at break even with the TAO that you get back. So if I were to set up a portfolio on MedSat Mines, I would be down in the gutter.
Interesting.
And
We might be
sorry.
We might be listening to you, and we're gonna think about that for X strategy.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, when you open up TAO stats, so I'm just looking at TAO stats at the moment, and you just look at all the really good subnets. So I'll just share my screen actually. And again, I'm not going to talk my own bag. I'm just going to, here's tau stats. And then I've done it by price. Let's just scroll down. So obviously we've got those in the gutter down here at risk. But I mean, Jesus Christ, you have FlameWire, which is very near dereg price, but Subnet 19 is doing exactly what FlameWire already does. They're live. You know, we've got some really good subnets around the 0.003, let's say 0.003 to 0.006. There's so many good subnets in here. Yes, there's a lot of stuff, you know, safe scans pretty good. In fact, I'm still talking about my own bag here, but the reason they're in our bag is because, you know, I think they're good. You know, Vericore. I mean, there's so many lovely subnets at these relatively low prices. So even if you were to buy, you know, I'm trying to find one which isn't in our portfolio, but that's good. But I don't think I can be objective here actually, because I mean, let's look at Resi. Resi's, you know, the downside if it were to shit its pants and get derated is relatively low, but the upside is a lot higher. Whereas getting shoots to double from now on, from this point here, takes a tremendous amount of tau to flow into it. Whereas prices down here for 0.005, for that to double, it's a lot less. If that makes sense.
Basically, deregistration acts as a stop loss, basically.
Yeah, it is.
So you say it's a very good point. Yeah.
And then you could also like filter in some other sort of things here. So if you were to filter it by daily chain buys, now obviously if you're just going to buy the top 3 in daily chain buys, you're probably, you know, yes, they stay near the top for a while, but really there are other signals here. So for example, if you look at Templar here, you see daily and weekly outflows. Now I've been monitoring this. Templar was at the top for a while, and it's now making its way down. So Templar is going to be trending down this list, and bear in mind I've done it by chain buy or chain buying order. But sometimes you can find some real sweetness. Again, Grail is getting some outflows, so that's going to be moving down. And sometimes you can go, oh, wait a minute, we got, what is this, Git tensor. Suddenly, this is getting a bit of an uptick in net tau inflow. So you could then say, oh, wait a minute, subnet 74 is most likely going to be climbing up this ladder a bit, and therefore getting a bit more chain buying, a bit more eyeballs, etc. And every now and then I spot something like, oh, here we go, shoots in the last 24 hours had 700 odd tau. That's going to affect the EMA relatively positively. So maybe shoots is going to start coming back up again. But because the subnet pool, like the liquidity pool is so huge, yes, it may go up in chain buys, but the price may not go up that much. So yeah, anyway, I'll shut up now. This is not my revenue search, but yeah. Mark, what would you do? I've laid my card on the table if I was going to do that.
If I was doing a portfolio,
Yeah, on Mintat.
I mean, it would use much the same logic that you have there. Unsurprisingly, we are very much on the same page. We like the asymmetric plays. We like buying stuff that can go up a lot further than it can go down. And yeah, the daily chain buys hooked in with the liquidity of that subnet can make a big difference. For some, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. For shoots, it won't. But yeah, looking at the flows, seeing what's going to go up and down, it's easier to manage a portfolio. I don't know how easy it is to change yours. If we did do a Mark v Siam, would we be able to change it every day as often as we like, or would we have to set it in stone for a month?
That's a very good question for our users. We can basically change it as much as you like, and the allocation takes up to an hour to be reflected in your wallet. We're looking to get that down to 15 minutes, but yeah, basically you can change that as much as you like.